The Canon Powershot V1 might be the best vlogging and content creation camera ever made. Bold statement, I know, but I've actually been using it as my daily content creation camera for the last 2 months, and I think I have a unique perspective from someone who's heavily used this camera. So in this video, I'll explain why this camera is so good, but more importantly, why it might not be right for you. Also, I'll leave links down below for the best pricing on this camera. Now, the first reason I think the Powershot is going to be such a great camera is that it has the feel of a compact camera with all of the design elements of a proper mirrorless camera. It has a very light 450 gram body, but it's still a very robust body with a very premium build. It's not too big, it's not too small, it just feels really good in your hands. And it also has a thumb grip on the back to give you a better hold on your camera. And the whole camera also has a soft fake leather finish to give it a really nice premium feeling in your hands. Now, the Powershot feels pretty small in your hands, but it is a lot bigger than an actual compact camera. So it's not purse friendly, but it doesn't really feel much bigger than a compact camera, so it's a very easy camera to take around with you, and it doesn't feel like you have a bigger camera. And the Powershot also has built-in air vents, and this will prevent any sort of overheating, so you can literally take it anywhere. And don't worry, this camera is weather sealed, so you don't have to worry about dust or moisture. In terms of design, the Powershot V1 strikes a really good balance between video-centric and photo-centric design. It has all the key buttons you could possibly need for both of them, and you also have a dedicated button to swap between photo and video on the fly. And there's also a zoom rocker on the front to control your lens, but there's also a mode dial with several automatic modes, but also 3 custom profiles for more advanced users. In addition, there's also a control ring on the lens that you can customize to change your ISO, focus, or aperture. And the Canon Powershot also has a built-in ND filter to cut out light when shooting in bright outdoor environments. Everything on this camera is super easy to use. It's basically as easy as your smartphone, and that's because it has a 100% touch-enabled screen that's also side articulating, and this allows for touch autofocus and control all of your major settings simply by tap. And if you're someone that's brand new to cameras and you don't know a single thing about them, there's also several automatic modes on this camera like scene mode and creative assist, so even if you're brand new, you can simply point and click and get great results. And the Powershot V1 also has one of the most important features in a camera like this, and that's a good internal mic, and that's what this mic sounds like. Now, this is what the audio sounds like if I'm pretty close to the camera, and if I go as far away from the camera, this is what the audio sounds like. And let me know what you guys think. Does the audio actually sound good enough? In terms of design, I really have no problems with this camera whatsoever, except for 2 small things. One, the battery is pretty small, and other cameras like this, like the ZV-E10 II, has a much larger battery. The small battery should be fine for casual use, but if you're a content creator, you definitely want 2 to 3 spares. And another thing I would have loved to see on a camera like this is a built-in flash that I think a lot of casual users would really appreciate, and sadly, you cannot attach a third-party flash to this camera because it only takes proprietary Canon flashes. Other than that, the design is fantastic, but one of the best things about design is the built-in lens. It's actually a 16 to 50 millimeter lens, and this is going to give you a wide shot that's perfect for vlogging and travel videos. It's wide enough to show everything around you, but also not super wide that it looks like a fisheye or a GoPro. And the lens on the wide side is also a very fast lens with an aperture of f2.8, and this is going to give you plenty of that cinematic bokeh or blurry background look when shooting on the wide side of this lens. And having a fast aperture also makes this lens very good for low light shooting, but on the 50mm side, it's not that fast and not great for low light or for that bokeh effect. But for 99% of people using this camera, this built-in lens will do everything you need. And the zoomed in 50mm is great for shooting things far away, shooting people, sports, portraits. You basically get everything you need for a camera like this in this one lens. Plus, the lens also has stabilization for smooth handheld footage, and it also has digital stabilization for handheld tripod shots. Now, another reason I love this camera and why I think the image quality is so good is not just because of the lens, it's also the sensor behind it. It actually has a much bigger sensor than a standard compact camera. It has a Type 1.4 sensor, which is about a 1.4 inch sensor, and this is very close to a Micro Four Thirds sensor that you find in bigger cameras like the GH5, GH7, OM5 II. And because of this sensor, you're going to get image quality that's much closer to a mirrorless camera than a compact camera. And with a bigger sensor, you also have a wider field of view in the sense that your camera can actually see more. So the same focal length of 16mm is actually going to look wider on this camera than compared to a compact camera. And that's part of the reason why the wide shot on this camera looks so good. And because of that bigger sensor, you also get much better low light. You can easily push the Powershot V1 as high as 3200 ISO, or 6400 ISO if you're feeling spicy, and this is about the same level of low light performance you would get from a proper mirrorless camera. One thing that really impressed me about the Powershot is the autofocus. It's easily as good as the Canon R6 Mark II or the Canon R50V, and it also has subject detect for animal, people, and cars, so if autofocus is something you're worried about, do not fret. This camera genuinely has proper mirrorless level camera autofocus. Now, one thing that did disappoint me when it comes to the Powershot V1 are the colors. It does have the classic Canon look where everything is very warm and saturated straight from the camera, but these colors are different depending on if you're shooting photos and videos, and I think some of you guys might be disappointed with the options you have. So let's talk about photos and videos next. When it comes to photos, the Canon Powershot can shoot 15 frames per second mechanical shutter or 30 frames per second electronic shutter. And 30 FPS is actually faster than real-time video, so with these speeds, it's actually impossible to miss your shot, making the Canon Powershot a very good action camera, whether you're on vacation, shooting sports, Instagram posts, YouTube thumbnails. This camera can pretty much do it all when it comes to photos. But I am disappointed with the colors. You get the standard vanilla Canon profiles like portrait, landscape, faithful, neutral, and while they do change your colors a little bit, there's no sort of filmic look or cinematic look for photo mode, whereas other cameras like the Canon R50V, which costs the same and came out at the same time, does have this ability, and I think most photo shooters nowadays want some sort of cinematic or filmic look for their photos, so everything looks edited right in camera, and the fact that this camera doesn't have that I think is a major disappointment. And you'll also see when it comes to video, you have so many color options. So let's talk about video next. In video mode, it does 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second with 4K 60 with a 1.2 times crop, but you can shoot full HD up to 120 frames per second without any sort of crop or compromise. The overall 4K video quality is very sharp and crisp, and to me it looks almost as good as something like the Canon R50V or the ZV-E10 Mark II. On top of that, you also get very high data rates of 230 megabits per second in the Powershot V1, which is very close to the Canon R50V or the ZV-10 II. So I really don't think you're missing out by getting this more compact camera. Now, what really got me excited about video in the Powershot was the inclusion of Canon C-Log3 in 10-bit color, which gives you complete control over your image, and you can really color grade it to look like a proper cinematic video. On top of that, you also get picture styles that automatically add a stylized or cinematic look to all of your videos. So if you don't know what you're doing with editing, or if you just want to save time, these stylized looks are going to help you a ton. Sadly, these stylized looks are not individually customizable, which would have been nice because on the Sony cameras you can't do that, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. And like I said earlier, sadly you don't have this feature available in photo mode, even though something like the Canon R50V does have this in photo mode. Now, whether or not something like this will matter to you really depends on who you are and what you're using this camera for, which brings me to my most important point: who is this camera for and who should and shouldn't pick it up? When it comes to photos, in my opinion, it's like the perfect casual, low effort photography camera for content creators, people on vacation, just a daily dad cam. This is going to do just fine. But if you're looking for a more artistic photo camera, you should look at maybe the Sony cameras or the Fuji cameras. This doesn't really do anything that special when it comes to photos. The colors are really nice, but they're pretty standard for most Canon cameras, and you could honestly pick up a cheaper Canon camera like the Canon M50 and still get very similar results. I really think of the photo mode on this camera as a nice to have or a bonus for people that really want to use this for video. Because when it comes to video, this camera is amazing. You could legitimately start a YouTube channel, make actual art, or do something very serious when it comes to video. And even if you're just casually shooting for yourself, you are going to get an absolute Ferrari of a camera. And I guarantee this camera will blow even the newest iPhone out of the water. Everything on the Canon Powershot just works without an issue. Shooting on this camera is just so fun, quick, and freeing, and it's exactly the kind of camera both creatives and casual shooters should want from themselves, because everything in terms of technology just gets out of your way and just lets you have fun taking photos and videos and being more creative. So if you want to check out this camera, I'll leave links down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I love this camera. Peace.